So Australia's federal election will happen on the 3rd of May 2025 and Australia will choose its new Prime Minister. The current polls are suggesting that it will be very close competition between the two major parties, the Australian Labor Party and the Coalition. We don't know who's gonna win this election, but this update is regarding the recent announcement made by the leader of opposition who could become the next Prime Minister of Australia. And I'm referring to Peter Dutton. So he announced his plan for international education and international students. If he wins the election and becomes a Prime Minister, these are the changes he's proposing to bring in. And if you are an international student or working in international education in Australia, it's not a good news. First of all, discuss about these proposed changes and then talk about why these changes are proposed. The first major change the leader of opposition has proposed is increase in student visa fee. So the student visa fee was increased last year from $710 to $1,600 Australian dollars, making it the world's most expensive student visa. Mind you, this is a non-refundable fee that you pay at the time of your visa application. And there is no guarantees you will get this money back if your visa is refused. Now Peter Dutton is saying that he will increase this fee further and the new fee will be $5,000 if a student is applying for Group of 8 universities. Now some of you may not know what Group of 8 means. They are basically a group of top 8 universities in Australia. That includes University of Melbourne, Australian National University, University of Sydney, University of Queensland, University of Western Australia, University of Adelaide, Monash University and University of New South Wales. These 8 universities make the Group of 8. And if you are a student who's not applying for one of these Group of 8 universities and you think you are spared, you're wrong, my friend. They are proposing to increase the students who are applying for other universities, public or private, and vocational colleges to $2,500. And that's not it. If a student decides to change their education provider, the fee will also be $2,500. And that's what they're proposing for student visa fee increase. The second change they're proposing is to reduce the number of international students. So if we are comparing it to 2023 levels, around about 320,000 international students came to study in Australia. And last year, the current government Labor Party announced the caps for international students to 270,000 places for the year 2025, which obviously didn't went through Parliament and Coalition obviously was not supporting that plan. Now they are proposing that they will further cut it by 30,000 places and they are proposing that they will cut it down to 240,000 for international student places in a year. That will be 80,000 less spots comparing to 2023 levels and 30,000 less than the Labor's proposed plan. So again, not a great news, especially if Coalition wins the election. And if you thought that was it of bad news, hold on, my friends. The next thing they are proposing is limiting the number of international students in public universities in Australia. So the Coalition also plan to cap the overseas student numbers at 25% for public universities, which means the public universities in Australia can only enroll 25% international students out of their total capacity. So there will be a cap of 25% on international students studying in public universities in Australia. If you do the calculation with the numbers they suggested of 240,000 students, it works out to be around 115,000 students studying at public universities, and the rest of the 125,000 places will go toward private universities and vocational education providers. Currently, there are no such caps on international students on public universities. So obviously, this will restrict the number of international students applying for these universities. Apart from that, they are also proposing to review the temporary graduate visa, which is subclass 485. Now, there's not much detail regarding this at the moment. What they want to do is to review any misuse of this visa in order to check if some students are misusing this temporary graduate visa to access the Australian labour market and using it as a pathway to permanent migration. Again, not a lot of details has been provided here on what plans do they have in terms of this review. But they're just using the word misuse. If there is any misuse, they want to review that. Now, these are the proposed changes that Coalition wants to bring in if they win the election. Now, you as an international student might be wondering why such announcements. Now, one of the core reasons for that is the housing crisis in Australia. And we have talked about it plenty of time in our previous videos as well. That in Australia, we are currently facing this housing crisis where people are finding hard both to rent, and believe it or not, most of it has been blamed to migrants, specifically to international students. And according to coalition's plan, if there are less number of international students, it will mean more houses for the local Australians. Although if you do the fact checking, international students are not actually to be blamed for this Australian housing crisis. They have just become a scapegoat for the major parties for this election. One of the recent reports suggests that international students actually make up only 6% of the rental market in Australia, making it a very small portion of the total rental market out there. So at the moment, it does seem like that international students and migrants have become a scapegoat for these major political parties. Current reaction from the industry, including universities, other education providers, property council, business council, none of them are supporting these proposed changes. And there are reasons for that. First, let's talk about the visa fee itself. Increase in visa fee does not improve the quality of education. We have already seen doubling up of the student visa fee last year, making it the most expensive student visa fee in the world. And mind you, this is a non-refundable fee that you don't get if your visa is rejected. So many people who are planning to study abroad may not choose Australia because who want to gamble $2,500 or $5,000 when you don't know if your visa will ever be approved. Now, talking about the limits on international student numbers in public universities, it will just mean a tough competition for the people who really want to study here. It is already very competitive to get Australian student visa and a spot in Australian university, especially for international students. But these changes will also mean that there will be even more tough competition to get a spot in Australian public universities. And let's not even talk about the damage it will do to Australia's reputation as a global exporter for education. Australia's international education contributes billions of dollars to Australian economy every single year. It is Australia's one of top exports. And what these proposed changes do? Well, they bring more risk to the sector in these uncertain times. There are hundreds of thousands of people who work in this industry. So that will put risk to the people who are working in the industry and to Australia's one of top exports. Again, I just want to say that these changes are not implemented yet. These are the proposed changes that the coalition wants to bring in if they win the election. I would love to hear your thoughts on these changes as well. Let me know in the comment section below. Now, if you are an international student and want to know what are the changes that have come through over the last 12 months in Australia, I recommend you to check this video here where I talk about the changes that happened in the last 12 months in Australia, specifically for international students. So click the video over there and I'll see you there.